Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining our webinar and spending a part of your Friday with us. My name is Susie Ratzebong, and I'm the Communications Director for Mindstream Analytics. Today's webinar is Enhancing Your Hyperion Planning with Voice Recognition Reporting. Before we start, just a few housekeeping items. To confirm that you can all hear me, please click on the Raise Your Hand button now. Great. On the right side of your screen, you'll see a Questions tab. At any time during the webinar, please enter any questions that you might have in that box. We will address all questions at the end of the webinar in the order the questions are received. Finally, for your information, this webinar will be recorded. In addition, I'd like to, of course, give you a quick overview about us. Mindstream Analytics, headquartered in Boston, is a leading consulting and managed services provider focused on helping companies solve complex data challenges, improve business analytics, and optimize business performance. Our experienced consultants and professionals are here to help you align your business and technology needs with ease. Today, we collaborated with Savant by Talvis LLC. Talvis is a technology company transforming the speed at which a company's financial data is accessed, analyzed, and processed. With that, I'm going to turn the presentation over to Kevin, co-founder and managing partner at Talvis, and we can begin.
Thanks, Susie. Appreciate the introduction and the opportunity to present today. A little bit about myself. I've been working in finance and financial systems for a little over 20 years. I've led FP&A departments for Cartier, for Contura Chemicals, Dictaphone, and recently I led the financial systems department for Nextel International. Now, Hyperion Planning and S-based database cubes are absolutely fantastic platforms for managing and storing enterprise budget, forecast, actuals, and variance analysis. Dashboards and reports can be built on top of the application, and SmartView allows for ad hoc querying and report analysis. However, many users find dashboards and reports restrictive and missing the key metrics and variances that they're interested in. Also, SmartView can be challenging for new users from both a software usage and a database architecture perspective. So let's begin with two questions. Have you ever heard the expression information at the speed of thought? Most likely you have. It's an industry term and people use it a lot. But the real question is, have you seen software actually achieve this? And that is what I'm going to present today. I'm going to show you a software application that lets you get information about your company at the speed of thought. Now, we designed Savant with three main ideas. One, for a mobile platform. We wanted people to have the ability to access their information anywhere and at any time. Now, most of you, when you go to your meetings, you may or may not have your laptop with you, but I can guarantee everyone brings their phone, their smartphones, or their tablets with them at all times. The second main idea is voice recognition. We wanted to develop a software that had the easiest interface possible. And we wanted to have people simply be able to ask a question and get their answer using natural language and voice recognition technology. And the third is instant results. We want to have a software be able to deliver answers in 2 to 3 seconds. So here's a situation today. If you can imagine, you can have a CEO and maybe the VP of sales in a meeting. And one of them could ask a question that isn't on a printed out report in front of them. Maybe they want to know what were the sales in the New York office for this month. Well, today they would have to most likely email or call the finance department, and that request of information gets routed to the Hyperion expert, who can then read the email, open Excel, connect to Hyperion SmartView, build up the SmartView query, understanding which of the 10 to 12 dimensions are available, and choosing the correct members to get the right intersection point to get that number. And then the analyst will create charts and reports and send the information back to the executives. Now, conservatively, I think that's going to take 20 to 30 minutes. And that assumes that analyst is sitting at his or her desk when the initial request comes in. But if that request comes in at lunchtime or at the end of the day, those executives could be waiting a day or more to get answers to relatively simple information. Now, in the same scenario with the two executives, and one of them had Savant on their phone, they would simply pick up their phone, ask their question in a natural language way of saying, what were the sales for New York for this month? Savant is going to translate what they asked and understand their request, develop an MDX type query statement, run that against Hyperion, get the number answer, and then configure that answer in a couple different formats, in a readable question or sentence format, in charts, and in reports. And it's going to do all that in about 2 to 3 seconds. So that's one of the most powerful value adds of Savant. It is taking a 20 to 30 minute exercise and reducing it to 2 to 3 seconds. And what that enables is the executives and the people working with the problems and when the question comes up to continue their conversation. They don't have to pause or break their train of thought to go track down that information and then come back to it. So now I want to talk a little bit about how Savant differs from more typical dashboard type software, BI software in the market today. I'm going to use an example for either Oracle's OBI-EE or MicroStrategy. In both cases, if your company purchases them, you're buying an environment. And in that environment, once it's purchased and it's on the servers, you can either have an internal team or external consultants come in, and they will build out dashboards and reports fully customized to exactly the key metrics, KPIs, and the view that you want to see. And they'll also design in the logic flow as you drill down into different pieces of information. With Savant, it's different. There's only 3 ways to view the information. There's a chat screen, a chart screen, and a report screen that I'm going to demonstrate today. So what does this mean? This means that a Savant deployment against an Essbase cube takes only about 4 to 6 weeks, and the majority of that time is building out the natural language interface. Where dashboards, from my own personal experience and talking with other people in the market, can take 4 to 6 months to truly customize a dashboard for your needs. Another main difference with typical dashboards is that they design out all the charts and the reports and the widgets, and then they have to run it in a cache mode because it's so much information. Where Savant doesn't have to do that. Every time you use Savant to query, it's a live query going back and forth against your OLAP server. So what this means is there's no limitation to what you can ask Savant. With dashboards, a lot of times you have to, in the beginning of the project, come to a design phase, and you have trade-offs. You have limited amount of real estate on your computer screen. So you have to choose some metrics and financial values over others because of real estate issues and memory issues. But with Savant, you can ask any single piece of information that exists in the Essbase cube or multiple Essbase cubes that you interface with the program. So today I'm going to go over these features, and I only have a couple more PowerPoint slides, and then I'll go into the live demonstration, because that's really where you're going to get the most information and see the value of Savant. But one, I'm going to demonstrate how, with just using my voice, Savant is quickly going to find any answer to any metric that I want. I'll be showing the SMS style screen where you can text other users of Savant. You can also text back and forth with Savant and have a communication dialogue. Next, I'm going to show dynamic built charts, and the charts are built in the most efficient way possible to show that information. And sometimes Savant will decide, you know, there's too much data points on this one chart. I'm going to create multiple charts to visually show that information. And the final report chart, it's a pivot style report, and it has the ability to drill into or drill up from information on the report that's provided. You can also promote or demote different levels. And what that means, if you have a report that shows by month, and then the next level down is by city and then by product, you can have a report like that in Savant, but then you can take the product and you can promote that up. So maybe I want to see this particular product by month and then by city. And the last feature on the screen that I'm going to show is an outline structure. And in this Explorer window, you can see all of the metadata from all of the Essbase cubes that are tied in with Savant. So with Savant, you can query or you can connect this to 20 or so different Essbase cubes, and it will list all the different cubes that are connected, and then you can drill into those cubes. And on this slide, what you can see is in one of those cubes, there's a total year dimension, and within that dimension, it shows the members for Q1, January, February, March, then Q2. And if you drill a little bit further into those, you can see the actual keywords and phrases that different users can ask that will point to and help map to those correct intersection points. We've partnered with Nuance Inc., which is the world leader in voice recognition technology. Their technology is used by Apple with their Siri product. They also have the largest consumer product called Dragon Natural Speak. And their algorithms and their technology boasts a 95% accuracy rate in understanding English sentences for multiple users. And the key here is Nuance is continually improving that algorithm. And as they improve their algorithm, Savant naturally and automatically benefits from that increased accuracy rate just by us partnering with them. Now on this next slide, I'm showing the chat screen. And on the chat screen, I mentioned before, it's an SMS style chat screen. You can talk back and forth with Savant. And as you ask a question, it's highlighted in that light blue box, just so you know that Savant is understanding you correctly. And then in the gray box, it's Savant actually responding to your queries. But you can also chat with other users, and that would show up on this screen as well. Next, this is depicting the graphics. And the graphics, again, will show either one chart or multiple charts, depending on the information and the size of the data set that's retrieved. And you can choose the different charts just by swiping left or right. And finally, the report screen. This is probably my favorite screen, because here, when you're querying, you actually see the actual number of values of what you're looking for. It's not depicted in a trend. You can also show a lot of information. And on our screen, you'll notice when I show it next, is there's no pinching or zooming for this. You can clearly see a lot of information in the way we designed this for this mobile screen. And so with that, I'm going to pause the presentation, and I'm going to share my phone screen. And just give me 1 minute. Okay. So here's Savant. This is my chat screen. And let's go back to that original example of two executives in a room, and they wanted to know what were the sales in New York for this month. So all I'm going to do is press this blue S button and ask my question. What were the sales in New York this month?
The sales for New York in August are $7,106.
And now I can ask another question. What was the profit for Dallas in Q1?
The profit for Dallas in Q1 is $1,508.
Now, here's the interesting thing. Savant is smart enough to understand that these are two unique queries, but it also understands when you have a follow-up question to an existing query. So in this one, I was saying, what was the profit for Dallas in Q1? If I said, what about for Q2?
The profit for Dallas in Q2 is $1,621.
So Savant knew I was referencing the previous query, and I just wanted to change one attribute of that query from Q1 to Q2. It has that type of intelligence built in. And this chat screen is great when you have questions that have maybe 5 or less data points. But if you were looking for sales for every month, actually, let's do that. Give me sales for Boston for every month. This is 12 data points that you wouldn't necessarily want Savant talking you through each data point. It's not the most efficient way of showing it. But here you can see it quickly builds the chart. And then on this chart, I could say, this is interesting. December is a really high month of sales for Boston. I need to compare this to the budget. So as an executive, I'm just going to press the blue button. Can you include the budget? And so now I have a chart showing that even though December sales were high, the budget was even higher. So it isn't as great of a month as I originally thought. And on any one of these screens, you can easily share a query, share a report to any other Savant user. I'm going to select a coworker. And I can type a message. And basically on Brett's phone, who I shared this query with, he's going to get an alert that Kevin sent you a query. Do you want to run it? When he runs it, his screen or his tablet or his phone is going to show this identical chart. And I could have a question of, why did we miss sales in December? Or a question pertinent to the information shown on this slide. Now finally, here's the report tab. And on the report tab, I mentioned before, this is my favorite because this you can actually see the value of each one of these. And I also mentioned that we have a way, there's no pinching and zooming. A lot of BI software firms struggle in putting the information on a mobile device because they have the limited real estate. We engineered differently or around that problem by using something we call sticky headers. And that's the gray bars where you can see the source data is from the demo basic cube. I'm looking at the sales metric, I'm looking at Boston and actuals, and then the month in the values. Now, as I scroll down, you'll see the word actuals at the header. It's going to be replaced now by budget. And so now if I scroll down a lot, wherever I'm at, I know exactly what point of view I'm looking at, because just by going down the gray bars, I'm in the demo basic, sales, Boston, and in this case, it's the actual versus budget variance section of the report. Now I've shown the 3 different views of the report. Now I want to go through just like a quick example of how someone can data mine and analyze information using Savant. So let's say I start with my first query. What are the sales for the East region for the second quarter? And it's 48,112. Okay, that tells me a data point, but it doesn't really tell me if that's good or bad. So I'm going to include the budget, Okay, now I know the dollar amount isn't that great. It's only off 2,000, but it's off about 4% from budget. So what's driving that? I could ask for more detail on the East region, but I could also, just with my thumb, select the East, and the submenu comes up, and I can click on more detail. So now it's going to run that same report, but it's going to give me more detail on the East region. And you can see I have New York, Boston, and Chicago. And New York is off 5.5, Boston's off 3.4, and Chicago's off 2.7. So it's really New York is driving the variance. So I'm going to highlight New York again and keep only. So now I'm getting rid of the other information. I'm just looking at New York. And now I'm going to include all products. Okay, so now I'm looking at New York, and I'm looking at all products. It has a total product. I have the actuals, the budget, and then this variance analysis below. And I can see that, you know, the real driver for that second quarter miss is television, VCR, and camera sales out of the New York office. So this is just a quick example of how a user can use Savant to drill down into information and understand what are the key drivers that are affecting business performance. Now, I've hit on some of the abilities of Savant, but there's plenty more. On any one of those reports, I can simply, there's a star button. If I click on the star button, I can save that report as a favorite. So it's a quick reference. I can come back to it and simply run the report off the favorite screen instead of having to re-ask that question and formatting it the way I want. Also, in any saved favorite report, you can trigger alerts. You can set alerts on, let's say I have cash position in my metrics, and I want, if the cash position for my company ever dips below $1 million, I want an alert sent out because I'm the treasurer of the company. Well, I can set it once with Savant, and then I don't even have to be logged into Savant. But as soon as data is loaded into Hyperion, and that alert is triggered where the cash position is only 900,000 now, within seconds I am going to get a notification And that alerts me early on in the process, where then I can start making phone calls and find out what's going on. Do we need to raise funding? Do we need to transfer from a different bank account? I can be much more proactive because I can get that information that much sooner with those alerts. I talked about sharing queries. I can email out queries to non-Savant users. I can send text messages. There's undo abilities. There's a ton more features that we can get into. But first I want to also talk about, we have the mobile application, but we also have a Savant Excel add-in application. And it's on this add-in, Excel add-in. Think about it, it's like SmartView, except instead of having to memorize all the intersection points and how to think about the frustration you have when you first connect to an S-base cube that you're not familiar with in SmartView. It's a hunting and pecking exercise to find, okay, what is the value of each member I need to select for each dimension to get to that proper intersection point that actually shows me data. Here I'm going to show my Excel screen. And so what we did was we used the same natural language ability that we have Savant and created an Excel interface with it. So I can just type into this text box, give me sales for all months and all products. It's that easy. So within seconds, you don't have to know really anything about the underlying structure of the S-base cube. Think about how much training you do with end users, with new users coming into your organization. You have to train them up. Okay, one, here's SmartView and how to use it. Two, here's the S-base architecture that you need to understand to pull the information you're looking for. I could say I need Dallas profit, I could say New York sales and profit for all quarters. And within seconds you get your answer. S-base is incredibly fast. And what we came to understand is it's not S-base that's slow. It's the users coming up with the query to run on S-base. That is a slow process. And so what we did with Savant Mobile and with the Savant Excel add-in is use natural language and the voice recognition to speed up that process, to get the process from what I want to S-base understanding it and retrieving it and reporting on that. So this was a quick demo, and at this point I just like to pause and open this up for questions, because I can go back to the mobile app, I can go back to the Excel add-in, but I want to answer some of your questions and show some of the more designs and how you would want to use Savant. So Susie, at this point, maybe we could just kind of take a quick pause and see if there are any questions at this point of the presentation.
Definitely. Thanks, Kevin. Thank you all for attending today. I'm going to give everyone some time to enter your questions. While you're doing that, I want to share that we have teamed up with Savant to provide a sneak peek of Savant 2, which Kevin can discuss in a moment here, at our Cincinnati, Ohio event on Thursday, October 22nd for an afternoon. You're the first to hear about this. We're hosting a financial applications user group event to address business problems of finance teams and the world of applications available to address them, like Savant. So if you're interested in that, please be sure to let me know. Meanwhile, keep in mind, MindStream's here to help you maximize your EPM investments with tools like Savant. We'll be sending an email with a link to the video, as well as an opportunity to retrieve the slides from today. If you have any questions with any of that in the next week, or if you're interested in the financial applications user group in Ohio or maybe closer to you, you can reach me at marketing@mindstreamanalytics.com. I'm waiting for questions. I don't see any, but maybe we can address what we can expect from Savant 2 forthcoming. What do you say, Kevin?
Sure, yeah. So we completed Savant 1 about 2 years ago and have been selling and deploying it. And in the meantime, we've been working diligently on Savant 2. And one of the feedbacks we were getting is that people love the mobile application, but they still want a desktop application. So we wanted to build a desktop only, or start with a desktop application that was much more powerful than Savant 1. And as a teaser, I would say if you combined Facebook, dynamic dashboards, and artificial intelligence together, you would get Savant 2. And what that means is, how can you speed up Savant 1? Right now, it's what we say, it's answering questions at the speed of thought. Well, to get it to go any faster, Savant would actually have to ask the question and answer the question and push that information to you. And that's what we developed with Savant 2. It has an AI component that analyzes your business, finds the root cause analysis of what is driving business performance from the net income all the way up to sales, and analyzes expenses, and it analyzes it by cost centers, by regions, by products. It can compare to prior year, to the forecast, to budget, and it will run all those variance analysis, find out what are the key drivers pushing net income or profit or sales, and then it's going to reach out automatically to the SME or the subject matter experts in your organization. It will know that the facilities manager understands the facility costs, and if facility costs went up 10% over budget this month, it's going to send them a query showing them that variance and asking for that information. When it gets that information, it's going to absorb that into its knowledge base, and then for the next person that asks that question, like, what's going on with expenses, it'll have not only the quantitative variance analysis, but it'll understand the qualitative answer from the facilities manager of maybe a new lease was negotiated, or maybe they expanded the square footage of a warehouse. It will understand that qualitative component to it and be able to answer other Savant users' questions with that. So that's my 30-second teaser on it.
Well, it looks like we don't have any questions today. Everyone's worn out from a Friday afternoon. So thank you everyone for attending. Please look out for an email with the attached video in case you missed it or you want to share it with your colleagues. And of course, you'll be able to access PDFs. I also want to point out before you leave, there is a handout available in the doc, a Savant fact sheet. If you're interested in it, please go ahead and grab that. And we'll talk to you soon. Thank you for joining us this Friday, and we'll see you at the next webinar. Thanks, Kevin.
That's great. Thank you.